So, well, let me go even to a couple months before the logo came to be, which was December of 2009. So exactly a year before we opened, I was at a fork in the road of my life, and my husband came to me and said, "That's just not you. Let's work this out." A month after that, I was sitting on my couch in my living room just reading a book about yoga, and I came across a poem that's on the wall in the reception area. I'm sure, Michelle, you're familiar with that poem. Liza, you've seen it. But it's essentially about someone who's just traveling about in his life, and he stumbles across a ruby that's laying on the road. And what he knows is it's the ruby that everyone to the left is saying, "Well, I own it, and it's over here." And everyone to the right is saying, "Well, I own this ruby, and this ruby means this over here." And he knew that the ruby was just his essence and what lives inside, the greatness that lives inside every person. And as soon as I read that poem, I set the book down and said, "I'm going to open a yoga studio." And so there really was a clear vision of a person's hand, kind of picking up that ruby and sticking it in his pocket. And what we want our students to know when they walk in the door is that everything they're looking for is here. And we put them through the paces when they come into the room. We heat it to 95 degrees. We challenge them, because it's not until you challenge a person that you really see what they're made of. And we like to show people, "Hey, look what you're made of. You just made it through that. Like 75 minutes of sweating your butt off. You made it through that. Now what can you do?" And so we hope that every time they come in, maybe they're scrubbing a little more dirt off their ruby, and then a little bit more the next time. What we ultimately want to leave them with is just their power and their essence. So that's the logo. What keeps me up at night is that when you lead, the most effective way to lead is by being an example. So it isn't even necessarily the words that are coming out of your mouth. Maybe you've heard, don't look at what a person says, look at what a person does. And I had no idea as a co-owner of this business, but my husband owns the business with me, but he's a background face. Most people don't even know who he is. I'm, in essence, the face of this business, and I don't like it at all, because what it means is I feel like people are looking at me and watching what I do. And I care about that. I care about what people see me do. I care that when people hear me say something, they actually see me then go do it. And, really the experience that a student has when they walk through the doors is most, I would say the impression is most set by the teacher. And it's the experience that the teacher can create with the group of people that happens to show up. And most of my teachers are baby teachers, and all of them are brand new to the style of yoga that we teach. And so they're all constantly looking at me for, how do I handle this? How do I say that? What's the best way to show up as a teacher? And I can do this all day long, but really I know that what they're looking at is what I'm doing. So, I would say what keeps me up at night is just an honest reflection about how I'm showing up to my life and to the people who are observing in my life. But then on top of that, I'm also really drawn to speaking off the biggest lesson that I've learned along the way, and it's not that if you follow a passion, typically you've already fast forwarded to the future and you think you know what you're going to get out of it. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to write this book because it means one day I'll be standing in a Borders in New York talking about my book, or for me, part of wanting to open a studio was I thought it'd be really cool to be a yoga teacher. It's not. It's really not. It's hard work. And so I guess the point I'm trying to make is that the things you're drawn to aren't necessarily because of what you think is going to happen in the future. What you're meant to do actually shapes you along the way. And it's when you trip and fall. It's when things turn out the way you never would have guessed that they would have turned out. That's why you were meant to walk that road.